Alright, next we're going to deal with histograms and other graphs. So in this first one, we are going to take the stem and leaf and we are going to create a frequency table and then a histogram from the frequency table. So, they give us our first interval. So these are quiz scores. The first interval is 40 to 49. So then let's continue making our intervals. Remember, they have to be same sized intervals and we cannot repeat numbers. So if we finished at 49, we start at 50 and we go to 59. Then the next one would be 60 to 69, and then 70 to 79, 80 to 89, 90 to 99 will be our intervals. From there, we need to figure out our frequency. So how many quiz scores do we have that were between a 40 and 49? All right, we have a 40 and a 49, so that would be 2 quiz scores. Okay, so we are going to have 2 there. All right, how many quiz scores did we have that got between a 50 and 59? All right, those would all be here. We have a 56, a 58, and a 59. That would be 3. All right, how many quiz scores do we have that were between a 60 and 69? All right, yep, that's going to be 3 again. All right, what about 70 and 79? Yep, that would be 4. 80 to 89. That's 4. And 90 to 99, we only have 2. Alright, so now we went from the stem and leaf to a frequency table. Now we're going to go to our histogram. Remember, we need a title. This stuff is dealing with quiz scores. Alright. This is our frequency. Down here, it's going to be our scores. And then for each thing, we're going to have our intervals. The first interval is 40 to 49. 50 to 59. You can continue if you want. Perfect. All right, so in this first interval, we have 2. All right, so I'm just going to go by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's enough. So let's go ahead. Let me pick a color. All right, so I would have 2 right there. All right, how many students got a 50 to 59? That would have been 3 students. So we're going to go up 3. And then a 60 to 69, we have 3 again. 70 to 79. 4, keep going, guys. You got this. And then the 90 to 99, we have 2. Alright, now that we've gone from our stem and leaf to the frequency table to the histogram, really, it's a stem and leaf to a histogram. But the easiest way to go from a stem and leaf to a histogram is to do the frequency table first. However, you could also go straight from this to this, but you need to do your intervals. Make sure we do intervals, we do not overlap intervals, and we keep them the same size. Alright, so let's say they wanted us to find the mean. Which, remember, to find the mean, we add up all the quiz scores and we divide by how many scores there are. Guys, if I'm looking at this histogram, I'm not looking at this. I'm not looking at this. Let's say I only have the histogram. Do I know what the scores are in here? The 2 scores in here, do we know what they are? Is it a 41, a 42, a 43, a 48? Do we know? No. So, from the histogram, could I find the mean? No. But we could find the mean from the stem and leaf. So, if we wanted to find the mean, we would have to use the stem and leaf. Alright, what about the mode? Could we find the mode? And if so, which graph would we use? The stem and leaf or the histogram? Alright, here, we don't know what the mode is because we don't have exact scores. So again, we would have to look here. And if we looked here, there actually is no mode. But if we wanted to know that, we would have to look at the stem and leaf where we have exact scores. Here, we only have intervals. We don't have exact scores. All right? Which graph will we use to find the median, the middle number? Guys, the middle score or the middle number, we want an exact number. We would have to do this. We would have to use the stem and leaf. All right, why don't you go ahead and take a minute and find it real quick. Go ahead and pause and then hit play when you're ready to see the answer. So if you did it correctly, the median, there's two middle numbers, the 73 and 75. So we would have to find the average of those. It would be 73 plus 75 divided by 2. It would be 74. Okay. Now, what if they wanted the median interval? Well, we need to use intervals. It would be the histogram that we would use. Okay. And we just found out that the median is 74, which means it would be somewhere in here. It's in this interval. So if you actually did your little X's or your dots here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and got rid of, you know, high, low, high, low, high, low, we would end up in this spot, telling us the median is in that interval. All right, next up, let's look at these circle graphs. All right, we have this frequency thing telling us vehicle types and how many people have a motorcycle. How many people have a sedan, SUV, and truck, and we want to turn that into a circle graph. Well, guys, circle graphs deal with percents. So we need to turn these into percents. Remember, to turn something into a percent, so like motorcycle, we know there are 9 people that have motorcycles, but to make it into a percent, we need 9 out of the total. So go ahead and add up the total. You should have gotten 93. So for motorcycle, we would do 9 divided by 93. You can do it real quick. You should get this crazy guy. And if you look at all of these, they're turning it into percent. So we need to turn the decimal into a percent and round to the nearest tenth. Oops. And round to the nearest tenth. We should get 9.7%. So now we're looking here. Which one has motorcycle for 9.7%? And do we have any ties? So that one's wrong. That one's wrong, that one's correct, and that one's wrong. So we already know the answer is C, but if you want the practice or need the practice, you should make sure that you can do these because we should be able to turn things into percents. Sedan, 20 out of 93, SUV, and then we have our truck, okay, which all of those do match the percents on this circle graph. All right, this circle graph is a little different. So they already gave us the percents. We want to go from the circle graph to a bar graph. Now, the best thing to do with this is just figure out who should be the tallest, the smallest. Should anyone be twice as big, or should anyone be about the same size? That's what's going to help us here. So, looking here, which one is the biggest size or the biggest portion? Pompano. Pompano needs to be the biggest. Well, look at A. Is Pompano the biggest? No. We can get rid of A. All right, Pompano is the biggest for B, so I'll leave that one alone for right now. It's the biggest here. It's the biggest here. Something else that we can look at. Our smallest should be striped bass. Is striped bass the smallest on B? No. And guys, look, it should be much, much, much smaller than these two guys. All right, this striped bass is not much smaller, so we know it can't be B. All right, striped bass is smaller here, and it's smaller here, so both of those work. So now let's look. Bluefish and flounder. They look like they're about the same, but flounder's only a little bit more, but they look like they are pretty much about the same. All right, here, they don't look about the same. Flounder looks like it's almost the same size as pompano. Is that what we have here? No, it's about the same size as bluefish, not pompano. And here they do look about the same, but flounder's a smidge bit more. So D would be our best answer. Okay. All right, last up, looking at a line plot to go from the line plot to a histogram. First, we're going to go to the frequency table. All right, so they did our first interval is 0 to 2. So be careful, guys. That's 1, 2, 3, size 3. So I have to start at 3 now. After 2 comes 3, and it needs to go 3, 4, 5. And then we stop there, so then it goes 6, 7, 8. So 6 through 8. And then 9, 10. Oh, we gotta stay the same size, guys. So we're gonna go 9 to 11. Okay, go ahead and take a minute to write down what the frequency of each is. Hit pause to go ahead and do it on your own. All right, we should have gotten this for our frequency. Now we're gonna use this to go to our histogram. All right, our title, we could just call it Hours Spent Watching TV. We have hours here, and then you need to, write those intervals. Let me get back to that. And then you need to write out those intervals. Now, our highest interval is 9. If I go by ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's not enough. So we're actually going to have to go by 2s. Okay, so right here would be 2. And then the next one we would have to call 4. Do you see what I mean? So we're going to have to go by 2s. All right, take a minute to do that. All right, so we should have had that, and you could put 10 and 12 also. Now go ahead and take a minute to draw your histogram while I do the same. All right, I just finished mine. Now I'm going to go ahead and look at the questions. So the first question is, which interval has the highest frequency? Well, the highest frequency, we can look here or over here. The tallest one would be interval 0 through 2. All right, and to find the interval, we had to use the histogram, or this guy. Next, they want us to find the mode. Well, guys, to find the mode, we're not going to use this because we don't have exact numbers. We need to look over here. All right, the mode would be the 5 hours. Okay, and we had to look at the line plot to find it where we had the exact numbers. Now, what's interesting is the 5 is our mode, but if you look at the interval with the 5, you definitely cannot tell. So again, that's why we cannot look at histograms. We cannot find the mode from them or the range or any of that stuff. Now, what percent of people watch at least 6 hours of TV? That's 6 hours or more. So 6 hours or more, we can look here, and that's 6 plus 8 people, right? Or you could have looked over here and added up those, or you could have looked here and added up those. So it's going to be 14, but again, it's percent. We need to turn it into a percent, so it's 14 out of our total. Out of 31 people, which gives us 45%. And last, we created a histogram from this line plot. Could we go from the histogram? If you're given this, can we create that? What do you think, guys? No, we could not. Because with the histogram, we're only given intervals. We cannot go to a line plot because we don't have those exact numbers. All right, once you feel good about this, go ahead and try the multiple choice on the very last page. Take your time. Good luck.